What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to scrape leads from Apollo and send them personalized cold outreach emails automatically by creating a simple workflow right here in N8N. Let's get started. In N8N, I've created a workflow that I've renamed to Apollo Leads Scraper. Now, the tool that we're going to use to scrape leads from Apollo is this tool called Apify. Apify is an incredible tool that you can use to scrape any website and automate projects. So to get 30% off your first subscription to this tool, just click the link in the description and then go ahead and create an account in Apify. And after creating an account in Apify, head over to Apify store. Here, we're going to search for the tool that we're going to use to scrape Apollo leads. So here, I'll search for Apollo Leads Scraper. And I'll click on search. And here, you can see we have over 50 tools that we can use to scrape leads from Apollo. So here, I'll scroll to find the best tool that we're going to use to scrape leads from Apollo. I'm going to use this one right here, where it costs 75 cents for 1,000 leads. So I'll open this tool on a new tab. This is the tool that we're going to use to scrape leads from Apollo. So here, the only thing that we're going to add is the search URL over here and add the number of leads that we'd like to scrape. So now to get this search URL, open Apollo and then here perform a filter for the leads that you like to scrape. So here in our case, we like to scrape leads in the marketing and advertising industry. The companies should have employees between 1 to 50. Their location should be in the United States and their title should be owners. So we would like to send these owners cold outreach emails. Okay. Now after filtering the leads, we're going to copy the search URL of these leads. So I'll copy the search URL and then paste it right here. So here I'll clear this, then paste our search URL over here. And then we like to scrape a total number of 25 records. To do that, I'll click on start over here. So here, you can see our actor is getting our data. Let's give it a second. So here you can see it successfully scraped for us 25 leads over here. This is incredible. And the leads, they have their email addresses already available over here. This is incredible. Instead of having to manually scrape the leads right here in Apify, we can do that automatically right here in N8N. So to get started here, we'll need to add a trigger. So I'll click on add first step, and here we're going to choose a trigger. I'm going to choose an on-form submission trigger right here. Here we're going to give our form a title, description, and add form elements. I've gone ahead and added the title, description, and our form elements right here. Since our tool right here requires adding a search URL over here, we are going to add a description of the leads that we would like to scrape from Apollo, then use AI to generate our search URL that we're going to input into our tool to scrape the leads. So the form title is on the lines of lead generation form. The form description is on the lines of add leads you'd like to scrape here. Form element, the field names on the lines of describe the leads you'd like to scrape. Element type, and choose text area. The placeholder, here's where we're going to add the industry, keyword, employee, company name, etc. This field will be required. To fill out our form, I'll click on execute step right here. Here's where we're going to describe our leads so we can generate the search URL and then now proceed to scrape the leads from Apollo. Add an example description, which is on the lines of I'd like to scrape marketing agencies in the United States. Scrape the founder of the agencies with over 30 employees. And here, click on submit our form. And now here you can see we captured our description over here and the date and time we submitted our form. So I'll click on back to canvas and then I'm going to pin this data right here and use the data to continue setting up our workflow. So the first thing we're going to do here is we can wait a few seconds. For example, we can wait, let's say 5 seconds. And here I'll rename this node to wait 5 seconds. Then I'll click on rename right here. And now we can proceed to generate an Apollo search URL that we're going to input into our tool so we can scrape the leads. So to do that, here, I'm going to use an AI tool. So in AI, I'm going to click on OpenAI right here. Then I'll click on message model. First of all, we can execute this step first. Click to get the description. We're going to now input into our node right here. So here, we'll start by creating a credential to connect your OpenAI account to N8N by clicking on create a new credential. Then from your OpenAI API, add your API key over here, and then click on save to create your credential. Since I had already done that, I'm going to close and choose our model right here. I'm going to choose 4.1 as our model, but you can choose the latest model, which is GPT-5. It's the latest GPT model that we're using currently. Then here we're going to add the prompt for the system role and the user role over here. System role could be on the lines of you're a helpful and intelligent link generator. And here we're going to add the prompt for the user role. Here I'll click on expression, expand it right here so we can add our prompt. So the prompt could be on the lines of your task is to take as input a description from a prospect audience and turn that into an Apollo search URL. Here's an example of an Apollo search URL right here. This URL describes a search for people that are located in the United States, have job titles such as founder, co-founder, can also add owner. The fields that can be changed are location, keywords, personal title, and number of employees. We're also telling the AI, do not add or change any other fields. Output only the link. No explanation, summaries, or descriptions. Here, click on back to canvas, and lastly, we're going to add our description right here. So now, yeah, I'll output our content as a JSON. Now to generate our Apollo search URL from the description using OpenAI, I'll click on execute step right here. You can see our node was executed successfully, and we generated our Apollo search URL over here. This is amazing. So yeah, I'll rename this node to Apollo search URL, then click on rename right here. Now with our search URL, we can proceed now to scrape the leads using Apify. So here, I'll search for Apify, then click on Apify right here. Yeah, you'll first of all need to install it if you haven't installed it yet. And then I'll click on run an actor node right here. Then here, you'll need to create a credential to connect your Apify account to N8N by clicking on connect my account. Then on the new window that pops up, choose the account that you'd like to connect to N8N. Then your connection will be created. Since I had already done that, I'm going to close this right here. Here I would like to run an actor. I'm going to choose a recently used actor. And here we're going to choose our tool right here, which is this tool over here that we're using right here. Then here we're going to input our JSON. I'll click on expression, expand it right here so we can add our JSON. To get our JSON, I'm going to go back to our tool where it says manual and JSON. Click on JSON. Then I'll copy this JSON, then paste it over here. Now instead of manually adding our search URL, we're going to map it from our Apollo search URL generator. And here I'll click on back to canvas. And then I'll click on execute step to scrape our leads. You can see it's executing our node. Let's give it a second. You can see our node was executed successfully. The status, you can see here it was a success. So now here we got this default dataset ID. This is what we're going to use to get our leads. So here I'll search for Apify again, and I'll click on Apify, and I'll scroll where it says get dataset items and click on the node. And here we're going to map the dataset ID that we generated right here. So I'll map it right here. And then on execute to get our data. And you can see here we got our 25 leads that we scraped right here using our tools. And I click on runs. You can see the same 25 leads that we scraped from the web. We got the same leads when we scraped using N8N right here. So these are the leads. When I click on output, you can see the 25 leads right here that we scraped using our Apify. We got the leads over here. So here we got their first name, last name, email, headline, LinkedIn profile, email status, profile picture, the social media page URLs, and all this relevant information right here that we scraped using Apollo. This is incredible right here. So here I'll rename this node to Apollo Leads Scraper and click on rename. Then here I'll rename this to get Apollo Leads. Then here I'll click on rename. Then I'll save our node right here. So now the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to filter our leads. So since we like to send them personalized cold emails, here we're going to filter the leads based on the condition that they have their website and their LinkedIn profile URL available. So we can use their website and the profile URL to generate personalized cold emails for these leads. So here I'll search for the if node right here and to add conditions. So the first condition will be that the LinkedIn profile URL should exist and their website. So here I'll search for the website and then map the website URL right here and say that it should also exist. Then here I click on execute step to see how many leads have their profile available, their profile and their website available. So you can see a total of 22 leads have their profile, their LinkedIn profile and their websites available. So for those who do not have their LinkedIn profile or their website available, we're going to do nothing with these leads. So I'll search for the do nothing node right here. And then I'll click on back to canvas right here. And now we can set up the leads with their profile and their websites available. So here, we're going to first of all add our leads to a database. So here you can use a tool like Airtable, ClickUp, Monday, or you can use a simple tool like Google Sheets, a Google spreadsheet. So I'm going to use Google Sheets. So in Google Sheets, I've created a spreadsheet that I've renamed to Apollo Leads. Here is where we're going to add our leads data. We're going to add their website, first name, last name, email address, phone number, and their LinkedIn profile URL. To add these leads data to this spreadsheet, here I'll search for Google Sheets, click on Google Sheets, then here I'll click on append row in sheet. Here you'll also need to create a credential like we did with other nodes. Here by clicking on sign in with your Google account. And then on the new window that pops up, choose the account that you like to connect to N8N. Then here I'll click on continue. And you can see our connection was created. So now here I'll click on back, and then here I'll find our documents, choose this document right here, and our sheet, we're going to add the leads to the Apollo leads sheet. And here we're going to map their data from the data that we scraped using Apify. So for the website, here we're going to search for the website, and here we're going to map the website URL over here. First name, this first name, last name right here, email right here. So we're going to search for the phone number. So here we're going to add a clean phone number, map it right here. LinkedIn profile URL. I'm going to map it right here. And now for the subject line and the email body column, we're going to update it later on after we've generated the emails that we're going to send our leads. So, but for now, I'll click on execute step to add our data to a spreadsheet. You can see it's executing our node, and our node was executed successfully. In our spreadsheet, you can see we added our client data right here. We did their website, first name, last name, email, phone number, and the LinkedIn profile URL for each of our lead right here. This is incredible. Now, here I'll click on back to Converse here. Then I'll rename this to Apollo Leads. Leads and click on rename right here, and proceed to generate personalized cold emails for each of our leads right here. So 22 leads is a lot of leads to send cold emails. So here I'm going to choose to limit it to only like 3 leads. So I'll search for the limit node right here, and for the maximum item, we can say 3. Instead of having to send cold emails for 22 leads, I'm going to send cold emails for only 3 leads. And now we can proceed to generate personalized cold emails for these leads. To do that, I'm going to use an AI agent. So in AI, I'm going to click on AI agent right here. Here, I'm going to choose to define below and add a prompt right here. The prompt for AI agent could be on the lines of you're an expert cold email copywriter. Then the system message could be on the lines of your task is to write highly personalized, natural sounding cold emails based only on the information provided about the lead using the think tool. And here we're adding our leads data. We're adding the first name, website, and their LinkedIn profile. Here we're adding a couple of rules that we like the AI agent to follow, where we're telling the agent, the first rule that we're telling the agent is to open with a genuine, specific compliment or observation about the profile based on the website or their LinkedIn URL. Keep the tone warm, human, and professional, and avoid sounding like a template. Do not use filler or vague phrases. Be concrete and accurate. Keep the email short, a maximum of 5 sentences. And here we are planning the structure of the cold email. So the first sentence will be a personalized compliment or opening. The second one will be a brief introduction of who I am and what I do. For example, an automation expert for marketing agencies. The third sentence will be me explaining how what I do could benefit this specific lead or business. And the last line will be a light call to action. For example, like to offer them a quick chat, free audit, or ask if they're open to ideas. Now, we'll also like the agent to not invent facts, not in the input. If no info is available, acknowledge briefly and keep the message general but polite. We'll also like the agent to avoid overuse phrases like, I hope this email finds you well. We'll like the agent not to use any dashes or output placeholders such as your name, first name, or business name. We'll also like the agent to write the email naturally, as if you already know the recipient. And lastly, we'd like to output a clean JSON format with 2 keys, the subject line and the email body. So here, I'll click on back to Canvas right here. And here, we're going to start by adding a chat model. We're going to choose OpenAI as our chat model. here I'm going to choose my credential, then I'll choose the model right here. I'm going to choose 4.1 mini, and here we can drag this to the top over here. Lastly, the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to add a memory. I'll click on simple memory, and here I'm going to define below, and now the date and time we submitted this form right here. Then here I'll click on back to canvas, then we're going to drag this right here. The next thing that we're going to do here is, since we mentioned that we're using a think tool, I'm going to search for the think tool right here and use this tool to generate cold emails. Open this node again, and then here I'm going to require a specific output format, and here I'll click on output parser, and I'll choose a structured output parser, and here we're going to add an example JSON of what will be our output. So here I'll clear this JSON and add our JSON right here. I'll paste our JSON example. Here I would like to output the subject line and the email body only. So yeah, you can also drag this to the top right here, make it look right here. And then now here I'll open this node. Let's say we're going to generate personalized cold emails for our 3 leads right here. To do that, I'll click on execute step. You can see it's executing our node. Let's give it a second. Here you can see that our node was executed successfully, and we generated the subject line and the email body of our 3 leads. So when I click on table, you can see the leads, the personalized cold emails that we generated for 3 leads right here. So we output was the subject line and the email body of our leads right here. This is incredible. The first line of one of our cold emails is on the lines of, I noticed Severance's website highlights a strong commitment to design and innovation, which really sets you apart in the market. That's a very personalized first line. The other one is on the lines of, I've been exploring Intempo's health approach to leveraging technology in healthcare, and I'm impressed by how you're advancing patient engagement. That's a very personalized. So our agent works perfectly. So here I'll rename this now to call email generator, and here I'll click on rename right here. Now the next thing that we're going to do here is now we can proceed to send the cold emails to our leads. So here the first thing we're going to do here is we can wait a few seconds. We can say we can wait, let's say, 4 seconds to avoid overwhelming Gmail. Yeah, I'll rename this node to wait 4 seconds. And then I'll click on rename right here. And then now we can proceed to send our leads. They're called emails. I'm going to choose to send the leads using Gmail. So in Gmail, I'm going to click on send a message node. Yeah, we'll first of all need to execute this node first. Then here, I'll open this node. Here, we're going to start by creating our credential by signing in with a Google account right here. And then on the new window that pops up, choose the account that you'd like to connect to N8N. And then here, I'm going to click on continue. And then you can see our connection was created. Now here, I'll close this right here. Then here, we'd like to send cold emails. So here, we're going to add the email address of our leads. So the email address that we added to our sheet right here, I'm going to map it right here. Subject line, I'm going to map it right here. The email type, I'm going to choose sex, and the email body, I'm going to map it over here. Now, before we send the leads, it's called emails. Yeah, I'm going to click on the append N8N attribution and turn this to off. Then here, I'll click on execute step to send the cold email, to send the leads, these cold email scripts that we generated using our workflow. You can see we successfully send the cold emails to our 3 leads right here. So here, I'll rename this node to send cold outreach. Then I'll click on rename right here. And then the last thing that we're going to do here is we're going to update our spreadsheet with the subject line and the email body that we generated using our workflow. So to do that, yeah, I'll search for Google Sheets and click on Google Sheets. Then here I'll click on update rows in sheet. And here I'm going to find our document. It should be this document right here. And then here I'm going to choose the Apollo leads sheet. Then we're going to map it. You'll first of all choose the column that would like to merge. I'm going to choose the first name. First name will be here. I'm going to map the first name right here from our sheet. And then now we can go ahead and update the subject line and the email body. So to update, I'm going to map the subject line and the email body over here. And now here I'll click on execute step to update our spreadsheet. You can see our node was executed successfully. We updated Mike's record with the subject line and the email body that we sent them, similar to Lina and Barbie. Now here I'll click on back to Converse, and then we can rename this to I'll rename this to update subject line and email column, and click on rename. And then lastly here we can end our workflow. So I'll search for the do nothing node over here and click on it. You can execute it also over here. So our workflow is pretty much set up. Now when I open our spreadsheet, you can see we updated our records with the subject line and the cold emails that we sent our leads over here. You can see the personalized cold emails that we generated for each of our leads right here with incredible call to actions. For example, for this lead is we're telling them, would you be open to a brief chat sometimes this week? Similar to this one right here. Would you be interested in a brief conversation to explore how this could work for you? This is incredible over here. So yeah, so our workflow works perfectly. So here we are triggering our workflow by, first of all, by filling out our form, describing the leads that we would like to scrape from Apollo. Then we're waiting a few seconds and then generating the Apollo search URL using this node. Then with the URL, we're going ahead and scraping the leads from Apollo using this tool in Apify. Then we're getting the leads, and if the leads meet our condition, which is they should have their website, their profile, LinkedIn profile URL available. And then if they meet our condition, we're adding them to our spreadsheet. A spreadsheet similar to this one, where we added the website, first name, last name, email, phone number, and LinkedIn URL. And then we are here. I'm choosing to just limit them to 3 since this is just an example, and I do not want to send cold emails to 20 leads. And then here we're generating personalized cold emails to send to our leads. Then we're waiting a few seconds and then sending the personalized cold emails to our leads using this node. And then we're updating our spreadsheet with the subject line and the email body that we generated for each of our lead right here. And here you can see the subject line and the email body that we generated for each of our lead right here. So now let us test our workflow to see how it works. To test our workflow, here I'm going to unpin this data from our node. Here I'm going to unpin this data, and then I'll click on execute workflow. And here I'm going to describe the leads that I would like to scrape from Apollo. I'm going to use the previous description that we used. So I'd like to scrape marketing agencies in the United States, scrape the founders of the agencies with over 30 employees. And then here I'll click on submit our form. Here you can see that our workflow was executed successfully. Here you can see we filled out our form by describing the leads I would like to scrape from Apollo. Then we waited a few seconds and then generated this link, this Apollo search URL link that we used over here to scrape the leads from Apollo. Then we got the leads over here, got a total of 25 leads based on the conditions that we set up over here. Only 22 leads met our conditions. Then we added the leads to our spreadsheet. So here, after clearing our sheet, we added these new leads over here, total of 22 leads. And then I'll choose to limit the leads to only 3 leads, so I can send only 3 leads cold emails instead of 20 leads. Then we generated personalized cold emails using this AI agent where our output was personalized subject lines and email bodies to our leads over here. This is incredible. And then we waited a few seconds to send the leads that we scraped from Apollo, the outreach emails that we generated using our AI agent, and then we updated our records that we created in our spreadsheet with the respective cold emails that we generated for our leads. So now when I open our spreadsheet, you can see the leads data that we added to our spreadsheet. So here we added their website, first name, last name, email, phone number, LinkedIn URL, personalized subject lines, and the email body that we generated for each of our leads over here. This is incredible. So we scraped these leads from Apollo, then generated these personalized cold email scripts for each of our leads, and then sent them the personalized emails using the simple workflow that we created right here in N8N. Now, if you'd like me to create this workflow for you, or a workflow similar to this one, just click the first link in the description to schedule a call with me. On the call, we'll discuss into details the workflow that you'd like me to create for you. Then I'll proceed to create the workflow for you. But if you enjoyed this video and you have a workflow or an AI agent that you'd like me to create using N8N, just comment down below in the comment section. I read all the comments, and if I land on your comment and I find it intriguing, I'll come back on a future video showing you how to create the entire workflow or AI agent from scratch using N8N. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.